I have a really useful message that I believe somebody can use. I was reading the Bible and this really stuck with me. It's been sticking with me this entire weekend. It's past midnight and I think somebody could really use it. I know it was very useful in my life, even as recent, and I'm going to apply it, which was I was reading the Bible and I was reading Ruth's story. A lot of people like to focus on Ruth and Boaz. It's really romantic. It's a love story, happy ending. But my whole takeaway from that story is more so Naomi. So the whole takeaway, my big point is when you're going through really tough times, when you're going through really hard times, we like to focus on our hurt and our pain and what happened to us and what occurred. We'd be so consumed, so focused on what the other person did, what I didn't get, what I didn't receive, why me, why this happened, why me, Lord, and just seeking for answers or just want to be stuck in the hurt or have, a finger to point at someone. But I really encourage people to, as much as you're hurting, don't be so stuck and focus on the hurt or what you're going through or what was taken from you that you miss the lesson and you miss the purpose. You don't want to miss your lesson, purpose, and also your blessings. A lot of times we're seeing it as the negative, but what about the positive that you're actually missing? Now, so back to the Ruth story, let me give you an example. So Naomi, right, she went away, she was fruitful, multiplied, had her children, had her husband. But then when she came back, what did she come back with? Nothing. She didn't have her husband who passed away, her two sons who passed away. She tried to encourage her only family members left, which was her daughters-in-law, two of them, to, you know, go on and just, figure out life. And I have nothing else to serve you. And she was just really being real down on herself, feeling like she was useless pretty much. But it only took one. Ruth stuck with her, right? Long story short, Ruth ended up remarrying, had a baby, and as we would call it today, and as if what the Bible called it was, when sitting a child on your lap, which Naomi got the pleasure of being able to do and the honor of getting, which was basically a grandchild. Because back in those days, when the widow, carried on and had more children through the family line, that husband's name, is being honored and get to live on. Now, if you really read that story of Ruth and Naomi, Ruth, you see a turning point where she stopped, not Ruth, Naomi, you see a turning point where she stopped really focusing on how much she lost and what God did. But she did state in there that this was God's will, this was God's doing. She ended up changing her perspective. She ended up seeing that, oh, Boaz, he's a good guy. Oh, I got Ruth here, my widowed daughter-in-law. Let me see if they would, entwine and this will work. And let me come up with ways to help her, encourage her to, get his attention. And see, now, if she was so focused on her hurt, if she was so focused on what happened with the deaths and mourning, which what I'm not saying that you're not supposed to mourn a loss or be upset or frustrated. You saw, and even though the story turned out really beautiful, and it kind of ended how it started. She had her family. She had a family. But if she was stuck in that hurt, just think about how it would have ended. It would have ended miserable. She would have ended up being miserable, bitter by herself. But she didn't miss the blessings. She didn't miss the purpose. She didn't stay too stuck on what she was going through. So what I'm encouraging you to do is, even as crazy it may sound, or you may feel so frustrated, like, how could I even do that in this type of moment or situation? Life in itself is hard, okay? Living every day sometimes is a challenge, okay, in itself. But I encourage you to try to not look at something negative. How about this? I encourage you to, every time something negative come up or something happened to you negative, try to write it out on the opposite side of the page of how could this be positive? What is God trying to make me see out of this? In any situation, there's a lesson that can be taught. There's a lesson can be learned. It's all about perspective. The enemy wants you to be down. Things is going to not always go your way. That's inevitable. That's inevitable. None of us can dodge that. No, none of us can predict it. None of us can see it coming. So either you're going to let it beat you down, you're going to let the enemy win. Nah, why do that? Do something different. Do something different. Do what Naomi did. Instead of just sitting in that sorrow, instead of being broken, instead of just being so miserable or choosing to fall for the enemy's trap, see the positive. Try to figure out what that lesson is and act on it. Don't just know it, act on it. You may have to write it down. It may take some time. It may not happen overnight. You may not get the answer right away. But the more you practice, the more you will know and you will learn. And also, I encourage you while you're doing that, you also have to play your part in getting up and fighting the good fight. What does that look like? Getting close to the Lord, praying, reading your Bible, worshiping, and watch what you consume. Your ear gates, eye gates, mouth gates, what you say out your mouth, what you're watching, things you're listening to, secular music, drama shows. No, start to substitute them out for positive things. Or how about this? Even just try to go without. Be in silence. Take a car ride in silence one time. Then the more you do it, repetition becomes a pattern, whether it's negative or positive. So then, if we're easy to pick up negative traits by just doing something over and over negative, which is seems like what this world just encouraged us to do every single day, why not try to make it positive? And I say this because I'm living in it. And I'm not saying it's perfect. I had something happen to me so detrimental. Two things back to back, actually. I don't look how I feel. I don't look what I've been through, let me tell you that. But what I'm choosing to do is fight the good fight. I'm choosing to be a Naomi right now. And not just right now, but for the continuous of my life. And I want you to as well. It's all about perspective. Honestly, the enemy really wants you to get into a dark space. He wants your mind to get to going. He wants you to have self-doubt. He wants you to have confidence issues. He wants you to feel guilty. But mind you, those are nothing of the Lord. The Lord don't bring confusion. He don't bring any of those type of traits. So always know what the enemy's tricks are and dodge them. Okay? So he wants you to live in negativity. Try to be positive. Put a smile on your face. You didn't get that promotion. Put a smile on your face. Still come and give it 110%. Okay? You lost a family member. Okay? Then think about how something like, for instance, I just lost a family member. I'm thinking, okay, that really hurts. I got someone taken from me that I really adored and I will never see again. But you know what? She's in peace. I got to be blessed to have a relationship with her. I have memories with her. One day I'll get to see her again. Stuff like that. And you have to keep coming up with new stuff. In this season, some of these positive traits that you may come up with that will work at the time, disclaimer, it may work now, but just know, in another season, it may not. And that's just being truthful with you. Because you may have to use different tools for different seasons. That's natural. So just keep that in mind too. So in another season, you may try to use these same type of positive things for something that specifically happened, but looked a little different. And you're like, oh, it's not working. I'm not feeling positive. I'm not feeling that motivation. Just know. You may have to come up with another positive trait, another positive list, whatever, to rethink it. Everything is not always just black and white. But I just think somebody got to know this. So God bless. Stay blessed up. Stay armored up. And stay close with the Lord because he's the only way.